So today, Group 2 announced their distributions for YieldMax. These are the original single stock ETFs that were paying out every 4 weeks, and now they're paying out weekly. We'll take a look at those, and then we'll take a look to see where Misty and Mr. sits today, as it was up this morning, but then started tailing off. And we'll also see that happening with SPY, which is the S&P 500 as well. And we'll finish the video off with an option trade I did for SPY today. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today, Group 2 for YieldMax announced their distributions. Now there are quite a few, so we'll go through those and see what each one will be paying out this week. Now keep in mind, the ones that were in Group C will be roughly about 4 weeks worth of trading. Group D should be about 3 weeks of trading. Group A, 2 weeks, and of course Group B will just be the 1 week, as they did pay out last week. And then we're going to take a look at the market, as it started moving up earlier today, but then it just started pulling back. But that did allow me to sell a call on SPY, and we'll take a look at that and we'll see what my strike was and how much I made. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the announcements for Group 2. All right, so here we are on the announcement sheet for YieldMax on Group 2. And we'll start right here off with ABNY for 22 cents, AIYY with 9 cents, AMD with 95 cents. That's a 125% distribution rate. Oh man, that's super nice. Now, AMD, of course, is in that Group C category, so it is containing about 4 weeks of trading, but still, 95 cents for AMD? I'll take that all day long. Now, keep in mind, since that is for 4 weeks, next week, it will only be for 1 week of trading. So, don't be too shocked when a lot of these drop in value, because it's only for the 1 week instead of 4, 3, or 2 weeks worth. Okay, AMZ for 25 cents, Aptly with 17 cents, Babo for 13 cents, and that's a 44% distribution rate, BRKC for 28 cents, Coney with 34 cents, and that's a 66% distribution rate. Now for Coney, I did buy a few extra shares this week. As Coney was coming down, it was below my adjusted average price per share, so I did make some purchases because that was only going to increase the number of shares I had, plus lower my adjusted average price per share, and by increasing that share count, that would also increase my distribution. So since it was below my adjusted average price per share, it only made sense to go ahead and buy some more shares to hopefully get a bigger distribution. And by buying them, I was lowering my adjusted average price as well. So for me, that in my mind was a win-win. CRCO for $2.47. And that's an 85% distribution rate. Wow, that one's doing pretty good, looks like. Crash for 8 cents. CVNY, $1.33 for a 46% distribution rate. Dips, 5 cents. DISO for 17 cents, Dre for $1.53, and that's a 52% distribution rate. Now that one's off of DraftKings. FBY, that's 9 cents, FIAT for 11 cents, GDXY for 11 cents, GMEY, which uses the underlying of GameStop, for $2.23 for a 59% distribution rate. GUI for 16 cents. HIYY is $2.06 for a 74% distribution rate. And that's one of the newer ones from HIMS. A very nice distribution, right? Hui with $5.94. That's a 106% distribution rate. Wow! This one uses Robinhood with the ticker HOOD, and that's the underlying for Hui. But $5.94, that one is just rocking it, right? it is moving up in price as well. So you're not only getting a nice distribution, but it's also moving up in price and holding that NAV, right? So way to go, Hui. JPMO, 5 cents. MARO for 30 cents, and that's a 79% distribution rate. And MARA has been moving up, so that does make sense. Marnie for 2 cents. Ouch, right? MSFO, 27 cents. And my favorite, MSTY, for 60 cents. And that's an 80% distribution rate. Very nice. Now, I just wanted to remind you, I only need $1.11 before I get my MSTY paid off. So 60 cents of that comes out of that $1.11. So I am just about halfway there. So probably another 3 to 4 distributions, because this one here is about 3 weeks of trading, right? So it is a little on the low side, but it is getting me closer step by step to getting my MSTY paid off. Now we got Nefly for 38 cents, NVIDIA for 10 cents, OARC for 21 cents, and that's a 61% distribution rate. That's pretty good for OARC. Platy with 74 cents, and that's a 62% distribution rate. Now keep in mind, Platy paid out last week, so 74 cents for a week, that's pretty nice. PYPY for 28 cents, RBLY with $1.05, and that's a 54% distribution rate, and that's off of Roblox. RDYY with $1.42 with an 89% distribution rate, and that's off of Reddit. A very nice distribution for RDYY. SMCY for 80 cents, and that's an 84% distribution rate. Very nice. Snowy for 38 cents, and that's a 65% distribution. Tesla, 19 cents. TSMY, 22 cents. Winter with $1.46 at a 79% distribution rate. Very nice for Winter. And of course, Winter shorts Mr. And since Mr's been coming down, Winter's been doing pretty good. Zomo for 9 cents. XYZY for 21 cents. YBit for 24 cents. And that's a 67 distribution rate. And YQQQ for 12 cents. And that's the last one for YieldMax. Now I do have a sheet for Round Hill and Defiance, so let's just go ahead and pull those up and go through those quickly too. And here we are on Round Hill. It too has an X date of tomorrow and then the pay date of Friday. And for Round Hill, they're announcing for XDTE for 21 cents, QDTE for 20 cents, and RDTE for 22 cents. I have XDTE and I've got QDTE. Now let's check out the ones for Defiance. And here we are on Defiance funds. This will also go X on Thursday and pay out on Friday. They have GLDY for 22 cents, IWMY for 24 cents, QQQY for 21 cents, USOY for 8 cents, and YDTE for 23 cents. Now out of these, I have IWMY, QQQY, and WDTE. So I yet again will be earning a little bit more money for the ones I have there. And that pretty much wraps up all of the distribution announcements that I have available to me. So now let's go ahead and let's check out the market and see where MSTY sets today, as it was up earlier this morning but then started coming down. All right, so here we are on MSTY. Now I've got the 10-minute chart pulled up currently, and as you can see, the first part of this morning it was moving up, and it was moving up nicely. We got up as high as $13.19. So was super excited when I saw that moving up, right? But after around about 10:30ish area, it started coming back down. And wow, did it come down. But you'll see the same happened for Mr. Right here's Mr. Almost didn't even look like it changed, right? As far as in the candle shapes and everything. MSTY just followed Mr. pretty much step for step. And if we take a look at Bitcoin, and here we are on Bitcoin, and you can see right here is that same time frame. Right there is about that 10:15, and then 10:30. Around that time is when Bitcoin started coming back down a little bit. And of course, as it did drop back down, so did Mr. and so did MSTY. But let's look at the day chart for MSTY here. And here we are on the day chart for MSTY. And we are looking at the actual chart. So these are the actual movements of the candles. So you can see we did end up going down below that support line that we had at 1283. We closed at 1272. And also keep in mind, tomorrow is X date. So what happens on X date? Well, the distribution amount that you get paid out comes out of the price of the stock. So 60 cents is going to come out of that price. So that means 60 cents out of the $12.72 would take it down to $12.12. Now, in the overnight hours or in the pre-market, it could move back up, or it can also move down even further, right? But if it does move back up, then hopefully we can capture a little bit of that 60-cent drop in the price. But we would need Bitcoin to move up along with Mr. in order to get MSTY to move up. And because the YieldMax ETFs are a little higher risk play, right? I do play these a little different than I would say Microsoft or Broadcom or even VOO, S&P 500. So I play the YieldMax ETFs a bit differently. I'm playing these in a way that if the price is below my adjusted average price per share, then I will purchase more shares, because that only helps me to bring down my cost along with increasing the number of shares. But if that price of MSTY, in this case, is above my adjusted average price per share, then if I did purchase, that would only bring up my adjusted average price per share, and therefore extending the time that it would take in order to get that position paid in full. So the distributions help to reduce that average. Buying the shares under my adjusted price per share also reduces my average. But if I buy above, then I'm just going to slow down the process of getting that position paid off. Now, yes, I would be increasing the number of shares, but if that price of MSTY is above my adjusted average, then it will also extend that payoff time, therefore taking me longer to get it paid off. And my goal for any of these YieldMax ETFs or Defiance or Roundhill is to get them paid off, so that way I will be using the YieldMax house money, and therefore those shares would have been bought by YieldMax house money, and all of the distributions from that point on would also be free and clear. And at that point, I can then work to build up my share count at no cost to me. No matter what the price is, I can increase my share count, and my only loss would be my gains. I won't have any of my personal capital invested. It would all be YieldMax's money paying to me, and at that point, I can determine and decide how much of that I am wanting to reinvest into it and how much I want to invest into something different, right? But it is my choice. At that point, I would never sell that position because it no longer costs me anything to keep it. I can only get gains off of it because I have been paid back all of my money. So that's how I am playing the YieldMax ETFs. That's not how a lot of people play them, but that is how I do. And you have to do your own research and you've got to make your own decisions, but that is my thoughts for these high yield ETFs. Now, the one thing I do want to actually point out was on SPY, and here we are on SPY, you can see the same thing that we saw on Mr. and MSTY. We had that move up and then around that 10:30 area is when it started tailing back off. So what did I do? Well, if you remember previously, I got assigned a put at 664. So that means that I own 100 shares at $664 per share. And today I actually sold a call against it because as this was moving up and it was in the 667 area, I decided to sell a 669 call. So if this was to close above 669 by the end of the day, because this did have an expiration date of today, then those shares would get called away. And that is if it did close above that 669. And that's the strike that I selected. Now for that contract, I did earn some premium as well. And I can show you that right here. You can see right there's my order. And I can open that up here. There's the expiration date, October 15th, which is today, at a strike of 669. And it was a call for 100 shares. One contract, okay? So where you see that one up here and right here, that's not one share, that's one contract. And one contract is worth 100 shares. So if I had two here, then that would be two contracts for 100 shares per contract for a total of 200 shares, right? So I only have the one contract, so that's 100 shares. How much did I actually earn in premium for doing so? Right here, 85 cents. Now that's 85 cents per share, okay? So 100 shares times 85 cents is $85. So I earned $85 for selling a call on SPY at 669. And of course, I do have my fees, but with Webull, they're pretty small, right? As you can see, it only cost me 6 cents. Now that's not 6 cents per share, that's 6 cents per contract, okay? So I only had one contract, so it only cost me 6 cents to actually sell this call. So technically, so instead of the $85 that I earned, it's actually $84.94, right? But I think you get the idea when I say I earned $85. So now going back to the chart, we can see that it did end up getting as high as $670.23. Now, my 669 was then in the money, right? Meaning that if it stayed above here by close, then I would have to sell my shares at $669. Now, if I purchased them at $664 and I sell them at $669, that's a $5 difference. That means I also would earn that in price appreciation, right? And that's $5 per share, 100 shares, that's $500 in just a very short period of time, as I've only had these for about a week. So $500 in price appreciation plus the premium I earned was $85. Not too bad for the little work that it took. Now, did it close above 669? Nope, it did not. It closed at 665.17. Well, that's under 669, so what happens? Well, I keep my $85 no matter what, right? If it goes to 670, it goes to 500, it goes to 1,000, it doesn't matter. I keep my $85 because that is in my pocket as soon as it executes and it gets filled. I earn that premium and it's mine to keep no matter what. Since it is under my 669 strike, I do not have to sell my shares, right? They are not taken away, and therefore the contract expires worthless. And that just means it just dissolves, it goes away, it does not exist anymore. So those shares will show back up to my account tomorrow morning, and it will show I still have those 100 shares with an average of 664, right? So if tomorrow it comes out, and it comes out, say, around this 665 area, and it starts moving up again, just say that it starts mimicking what it did yesterday and starts moving up, maybe I sell another 669 call. Or if it comes out tomorrow and it's at 668, well, I might sell a 670 or possibly a 671. Just really depends on where it's at and what the premium is for selling that call. Either way, if it does close above that strike and they do get taken away, as long as I'm selling a call above my cost, so anything above 664, I can't lose. I will only make money, right? I make the premium plus I make the price appreciation. And if it does not get there, then it just expires and I can do it again tomorrow if the market allows it. I can only do what the market gives me. So if it's coming down tomorrow and we got a red day, I won't sell a call. I like to sell them on a green day and when it's moving up. And as you can see, it was moving up first part of the day before it did tail off. And even then, it's still up, right? It still closed higher than yesterday's close. So exciting times, make a little money on the side, and I've still got my shares of SPY. I love selling my calls and my puts by doing these daily like this. I don't do it every day as the market does not give you the chance every single time, right? Because we do have down days. But that does help me to get my fix, right? Because I love selling my options. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind, hit that like button if you like this kind of content. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button as it does help the channel out. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, Legend out.